Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Continuing with Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter number 7, text number 27. Ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sargayanti parantapa. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O sign of Bharat, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate. Om Jnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Thank you so much for joining. We are continuing with chapter number 7. We will conclude it today. So we can see Krishna is making another statement, a very important statement, that living entities, all of them, they are born into delusion and they are also bewildered. So that's our state when we are born. Now, can we come out of delusion? Yes. Why is the living entity deluded? Because Prabhupada says we have forgotten our real position as the servant of Krishna. We have forgotten our relationship with Krishna, and that's why there is delusion. There is no knowledge. So most people are in Maya. Maya means illusion, which means delusion. And so they cannot understand Krishna. The Bhagavad Gita has been given to us by the Lord so that we can come out of delusion, become free from delusion, free from bewilderment, and come to the stage, pure stage, where we understand our real identity. You see, Maya, it is manifested in dualities. Dualities of desire and hate. Dualities like heat and cold, success, failure, happiness, distress. So mostly we get affected by these dualities, and because there is so many desires, so many unwanted things, there's so much happening every day in our heart and our minds that, I want this, I want to do that, I want to go here, I want to possess all these material desires. Prabhupada says that leads to someone wanting to become God, because they know that position of God is one where all desires can be fulfilled. Or some get so fed up that they want to merge into the Brahma Jyoti, because they are not able to satisfy themselves. But Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that if one performs devotional service very sincerely, you see, and seriously, then all these unwanted things which are within the heart, they will all be removed. Excuse me. Then there will be no more desire or hate. You see, we get so affected, especially by hate. If someone doesn't do what we like, then, the mind says, I hate that person. That's that immediate conclusion that person comes to. Why? Because there is delusion. People have not yet understood Krishna, and they have not even understood the energies, the potencies of the Lord. They haven't understood who is Krishna. They haven't understood what is his position. There's no knowledge, you see. So if we come out of the stage of dualities, we go beyond dualities, then and only then can we understand Krishna. And for that, we need knowledge. If there is no knowledge, then delusion will continue, bewilderment will continue, there will be no end. And then how will we understand Krishna? So in the very next verse, Krishna says that piety is very important. In when we come to 18th chapter, verse number 66, Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityagya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tum sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami masuchaha. Masucha means do not fear. If he says, just surrender unto me alone, just surrender unto me, and what will be the result? He will wipe out all past sinful reactions, which will bring us to the stage of purity. You see, then there will be no more delusion. Then one will be able to continue engaging in devotional service to him with determination. Very, very important aspect of Bhakti Yoga, determination. You see, because of lack of determination, people, sometimes they want to hear Bhagavad Gita, sometimes they don't want to hear, sometimes they want to chant, sometimes they don't want to chant, sometimes they want to associate with devotees, sometimes they don't want to do that. Why? Lack of determination. You see that. So we need to come to that transcendental position. And Krishna is giving us a guarantee in verse number 66 of 18th chapter, the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He's giving us a guarantee that he can remove all our sins. He will remove all our sins provided we follow his instructions, which are there in the Bhagavad Gita. And what does he say in the Bhagavad Gita? One of the important verses is Satatam Kirtayanto Mam, always chanting my glories. Excuse me. Always chanting my glories. You see, chanting glories of Krishna could be we are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we are reciting the verses of the Bhagavad Gita, we are hearing the Bhagavad Gita. So always chanting, and one may say, excuse me, one may say, it's not possible to chant always. We have so much other things, so many other things to do. We have to go to work, take care of family, we have to sleep, we have to eat. There's so much to do. But we can at least take out few minutes every day and chant the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. That's the only way. In Kali Yuga, Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam. Only way. Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nastev, Gatiran. In Kali Yuga, there is no other way except chanting. But to do that on a daily basis, one needs determination. You see? And determination is an important aspect of our spiritual life. If one is not pious, if one has, one is still committing sins, one is still continuing a sinful life, then how will one, get attracted to devotional service? Krishna says then it'll be very difficult to go about the dualities of life. You see? So the first stage is to hear the Bhagavad Gita and to put it into practice, to do that mantra meditation that can bring peace of mind. So when we chant, when we do the mantra meditation, along with that, one needs to follow rules and regulations also. You see, these rules and regulations, which are called religious principles, they are given to us by the Supreme Lord himself. They are actually considered the laws of the Supreme Lord. And with those rules and regulations, it'll help us to progress on our spiritual path. You see, then one will be able to come to that stage of pure Krishna consciousness, which is a spiritual platform, you see. And that can be done only when one practices regularly. It's not that we just come for our Sunday class at 8 in the morning Eastern time on Sundays and then we are done. No, we need to practice it every day. Just like We eat every day, we sleep every day, we work every day, we do so many things every day, we shower every day. So, also, we need to practice mantra meditation on a regular basis. This will gradually lead us to liberation and to be able to, become more determined. You see, to get determination, we need association of devotees, association of like minded people, association of those who are practicing Bhagavad Gita. You see, what do we do on Sundays? We associate with each other. You see, that is how we progress spiritually. So, Krishna is explaining to Arjuna in this chapter how one can become free from delusion. See, what is the biggest delusion we have? I am never going to die. You see, everybody thinks I am never going to die. And another delusion is, I am this body. But that is not true. I am the spirit soul. So that is what Bhagavad Gita is trying to teach us. So it is up to us to make a choice. I see Krishna is there within our hearts as the super soul, and he's there to guide us. So we need to decide which path we want to take. You see, we want to, take up the process of, earning piety. We need to want to take up the process of becoming conscious of Krishna. We want to take up the process so that, with the help of association of devotees, we can reach a stage of liberation. Or we want to continue in the cycle of birth and death. Keep being born again, die again, born again, die again. Just keep going round and round in that circle. You see? But we as human beings have the opportunity. All of you who are listening to Bhagavad Gita today, you have chosen to hear the Bhagavad Gita. You've gotten an opportunity and you've chosen to take advantage of that opportunity and hear, because probably you are interested in coming out of this cycle of birth and death. You see? So, the Bhagavad Gita is teaching us how to purify ourselves, how to get rid of bewilderment, how to get rid of all the delusion, how to get rid of all misconceptions that we may have, you see? And it's helping us to come out of the cycle of birth and death. Now, talking about birth and death, in verse number 29 of this chapter 7, excuse me, Krishna says that there is a process to break this cycle of birth and death. What needs to be done? One has to endeavor. It's not going to come just like that. Just like we don't get a paycheck sitting at home. We have to work. We have to go to the office. We have to listen to the instructions of the boss, do the work, hard work, and then we get our paycheck. You see, the reward. So, also in spirituality, we need to endeavor. And while endeavoring on the spiritual path, we need to take refuge in Krishna, depend on Him. See, the Shastras clearly tell us who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We've learned this so many times from different scriptures that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. You see, so when we take refuge in the spiritual, in the Supreme Lord, then we will be able to break this cycle. Then we will get a spiritual body and go to the eternal spiritual world where there are no more miseries because there is no material world. It's spiritual. You see, no one likes to grow old. That is why we see that in this material world, as soon as people start getting old, they start trying to look good. They try different creams, to remove wrinkles from the face. They try, I think it's called Botox or something, and then they try to dye their hair black so that gray is not seen. They try all different things to look young. Does that make them young? No. No one can avoid old age. No one can avoid disease. No one can avoid death. But here, Krishna is giving us a formula by which we can end this cycle of misery, where there will be no more contamination. It'll be a liberated stage, and that actually liberated stage is our original position. Because Krishna says, Mamai Vamsa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, that we are Amsha of Krishna, we are part of Krishna. Krishna is eternal, so are we. So then, when we come to that liberated stage, when we get the spiritual body, then we are in our original position. And that is possible only when one becomes fully conscious of Krishna, fully, not in percentage, 10%, 20, 50, 90, no, full 100%. And then that will be the stage, liberated stage, where one will be able to enjoy with Krishna in the spiritual world. This is what Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. Excuse me. Now, in verse number 30, Krishna tells Arjuna, when one is in full Krishna consciousness and understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that Krishna, he is above the demigods, then and only then that person will actually know Krishna at the time of death. And this is how one should die. When that is called the final examination, that is the final test. At the time of death, we get the opportunity to know Krishna. And how? Only and when we become fully conscious of him. So when Krishna says that when people understand that I am the Supreme Lord above demigods, so it's important to understand what is the position of the demigods. See, the demigods are not above Krishna or equal to Krishna. Krishna is above the demigods. And the Bhagavad Gita is teaching us not only how to live, but also how to die. The whole process is given to us in the Bhagavad Gita. So an intelligent person, the intelligent person takes these instructions of Bhagavad Gita very seriously, you see, and starts following the process. And this process becomes very easy when we associate with spiritually minded people, in other words, with devotees. Then see what happens. Say, supposing, I am driving a car and a cop is sitting in the passenger seat, then automatically I will follow all the rules. I should follow them whether the cop is there or not. But sometimes we get deluded. We get so caught up in, so many desires in our mind, so many, wants in our hearts, that we sometimes may break the rule. But if the cop is next to us, we will not break any rule, because he's going to remind us that we need to follow the rules. Similarly, when we associate with devotees, they remind us to follow the rules and regulations. You see, then it becomes easy to become conscious of Krishna. So association is very, very important. Right from the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has been explaining one very important point. I am not this body, but I am the spirit soul. And what is my position? I am the eternal servant of Krishna. You see? And then Krishna starts explaining how we get entangled, how we forget. We forget our position, we forget Krishna. And that is why we are suffering here. That is a cause of suffering. You see, this human form of life is very, very rare. We've heard this many, many times, but have we realized it? Are we living our lives in such a way that we are conscious of the fact that this human form of life is very, very rare. It is meant for spirituality. It's not meant for eat, sleep, and be merry. No. So, in this chapter, number 7 of the Bhagavad Gita, many subjects are discussed by Krishna. And Krishna in the beginning explains to Arjuna that there are 4 kinds of people who surrender unto him. Chaturvidha bhajante mam. Jana sukritino Arjuna. Sukritino means pious. 4 kinds of pious people who surrender to him. Then he also explained 4 kinds of people who do not surrender, right? No mam dushkritino mudha. Dushkritino means miscreants, those who do not surrender unto him. They do not understand that this human form of life is very, very rare. You see, we've heard there are 8.4 million species of life. That includes the aquatics, the insects, the animals, trees, everything, and human beings. And out of 8.4 million species, only 400,000 species of human beings are there. That means the number of species as far as human beings are concerned is the lowest, which means it's a very rare birth. So in this chapter, Krishna is explaining why waste this human form of life in doing things that are unnecessary, like worshipping the demigods. Because those who worship the demigods, at the time of death, they will remember the demigods. And what will be the result? They'll go to the planet of the demigods. You see? But those, Krishna says, those who worship me will remember me at the time of death and will come to me. So when we go to the Vaikuntha, the spiritual planets, the topmost spiritual planet is Krishna Loka. When we go there, there is no coming back. That is what Krishna explains to Arjuna, that try to come back to the spiritual world where there is no birth, no disease, no old age, and no death. You see? So here, right from chapter 2 onwards, till this chapter number 7, Krishna is teaching us in a very simple way how to remember Krishna at the time of death and go back to Godhead. This is perfect knowledge. You see, when we come to that stage of being fully conscious of Krishna, then we will become free from delusion. We'll become free from bewilderment. How many of us are bewildered? We are so bewildered in our lives, right? There are so many situations that are there in our lives, and we don't know what to do, which is the right thing to do in what situation. You see? So there is bewilderment, but that bewilderment can be removed if we take on the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita and also perform our devotional service with determination. Very, very important. Excuse me. And determination will not come just like that. We have to work for it. You see, if we have a goal in life, then we can try to achieve it. Say, for instance, a student wants to get really, really good grades, in the final examination. Then the student has to work towards that goal, has to work very hard, has to have that determination, no matter what, I want those grades. And to get that, to reach that goal, that hard work is required. First, of course, knowledge is required. The student needs to understand, what do I need to reach my goal? Get some guidance from the teacher, and then work towards that goal with determination. That same applies even in our spiritual lives. That if we have a goal, if we have decided that I don't want to waste this human form of life, I want this life to be my last life. I want to break this cycle of birth and death, and I want to go to that spiritual world, which is my home, which is my home, my original home. You see, that is what we need to have, that goal in mind. You see, and for that, we have to start hearing and chanting. First hearing, Shravanam, then Kirtanam, chanting. When we follow this process of hearing and chanting again and again and again on a regular basis, you see, when we have a disease, what do? We go to the doctor. The doctor will give a prescription. But then we have to follow the instructions of the doctor. If he says this is the dosage, that's what we do. If he says you have to take it every day, then we take the medicine every day if we want to get well, right? So, right now we have this material disease. And what is that material disease? Lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion, delusion, bewilderment, everything. But if we want to become free of this disease, if we want to purify our hearts, then we need to follow the Bhagavad Gita, the process given, but with determination. You see? So the best thing would be to actually do mantra meditation on a daily basis. Very, very important. On a daily basis. Every day. What do? We chant the holy names of the Lord every day. What is that? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. When we chant on a daily basis, there's going to be purification of the heart. That is going to help us to progress spiritually. So with this, we come to the end of chapter number 7. And Krishna is explaining, giving us the knowledge how to live and how to die. We need to know both, right? Because we don't want to waste this human form of life. So now, next Sunday, we're going to start a new chapter, which is chapter number 8. So I'm going to end here. If anyone has any questions or comments, you're very welcome to ask.
Gita ma, are you back in Atlanta now?
Yes, I'm back in Atlanta. Yes.
Okay, I thought you were in India still. Okay.
No.
Hare Krishna, Gita.